what they are opting for and what is their like priority immediately.
I'm still waiting to see if either of these junglers is going to dip into an AP jungler, because right now AP junglers are running solo queue with the likes of the Dusk and Dawn item being rushed on things like Diana, Gwen jungle in certain cases, Echo, although they do take a little bit more time to scale on up, and because of the necessity of junglers needed to be a little bit more proactive off the first spike.
A champion like Echo has an excuse to gank. Like, I could press W and pretend like I'm walking through your lane. Oops, I smited your cannon, and, you know, continue on towards the bottom side river. You know, that works. We do have Karma. We do have... I'm still looking at Taliyah, man. Like, Taliyah Rise should be immediately on my mind the first pick coming in.
Vi is also available if BLG just want to secure something strong with Shen, but then you risk the nice combo of Taliyah Vi not being together. Ooh, but as you called out, Rise Taliyah.
I want to correct myself. It is AL who are... They chose counterpick, and BLG are on blue side. So we're just going to have a normal blue side, red side game. We're going to have a... Okay, Pantheon Taliyah, play around the side lanes. It's something that BLG do get caught out on. Now, what is going to be the jungle here for Shen? I think typically we have seen Rise Nefiri, in my mind, is the best combo if you want to continue to be like an aggressive AD jungler. Kiana is strong, yes, but I do think she can be a little feast or famine. And for what I want from a BLG squad, I need Shen on engage. I'm very worried about trying to play for 3 topside carries and having Viper and on a little bit more self-sufficient utility champions.
One of the best tanks was eliminated in the draft phase with that Scion takeaway, but they did briefly hover over the Cassante, which would be the next best tank available if you want to blind pick it. Been hovering a couple other fun options though, or at least a Knight specifically for Ben, and they decide, you know what, let's save top lane for later in the draft. They lock in the Sivir, and it's a little bit of late game insurance policy in the bot lane.
I mean, we talk about like how much gold the AD carry role now gets thanks to the quest. I think Sivir is great at that. Sivir's going to be able to just delete minion waves. AL doesn't have as clear minion wave control as they would normally with some of their champions. So when we talk about dictating priority to your opponents, I think that BLG, both with the Rise and the Sivir, whether it's in mid lane or in a side lane, are going to feel really comfortable about moving around the map and having control in that way. We are getting a hope on Kai'Sa, one of his most deadly champions that we've seen from him, and now it's all about what counter picks top lane, and what is the support matchup going to look like? Because some of those power picks are gone, but we still have champions like Rel available.
Yep. Rel available, Nautilus for reliable point-and-click engage, which doubled with Rune Prison and Kiana. You can just easily make a really strong pick comp if you just want to play to burst one target and then create a numbers advantage, which BLG definitely likes doing in the past. Targeting Bin's Gnar, effective split pusher. I think something that anyone's legend recognized in the second game. While Rumble, great team fighter, Bin was spending a lot of time just playing for himself, splitting on side lanes, getting a lot of gold, and taking turrets down. Okay.
Rakan is good. I do think that Rel is kind of the premier support right now, mostly because if you're BLG, you probably don't want to play Rel into Taliyah, and you know that Alistar is gone. That is the big counter. You really, I don't think you're going to feel comfortable about playing Kai'Sa Braum. So if you're BLG, you have to be thinking, okay, if we ban this champion, I think the response is probably going to have to be Poppy. And then at that point, you have great ways of stopping AL from walking forward. So I think right now the arms race in terms of support is between those two champions.
I almost imagine that they might just... Okay, well, with the Poppy ban, this is pretty much calling AL to blind pick their support, because I think if you don't have Alistar anymore available and Poppy banned, those are the two most effective counters into Rel. So not anyone's legend are thinking, should we try and just take this away before On secures it for himself? But this will open up a potential counterpick option that maybe anyone's legend is not aware about.
What do you go for in this instance, right? Like, you don't have... The Lulu's not available anymore. We've talked a lot about all the different supports that are no longer here. So BLG are going to have to pick top and support. Take a quick look at what On was picking in the last couple of series. You could play Renata. I don't think it's great, but your 2v2 is a little bit stronger, and you do get a lot of value from the hostile takeover versus some of these immobile carries like the Talia and the Pantheon. Jax is great as a blind, also again very punishing versus a Kaisa and a Talia, so I like it.
I will wait until it is confirmed on what support we get from On, because we're hovering a lot of options right now, and I don't want to dive too deep onto any of them, but they lack a real front line at the moment. That's all I'll say. So any tank would be nice. Shen support for On.
Well, you talked about wanting to play side lane. Well, now there's a Shen ult every couple of minutes available.
There you go.
Shen is going to be very poor this game. Shen is a expensive champion because of experience. His ultimate is a very long cooldown, and supports don't get a ton of access to XP. So it's going to be a low level, very long, but you have incredible dueling early game. This is another lane where I feel like it was BLG versus IG in Split 2 playoffs. It was a victory. Played it into Leona, which definitely makes sense. Here we go. Game number 3 between BLG and AL.
Getting some early vision down onto Tarzan's Raptor camp, and because Gyos, of course.
It's okay, Mark. You know, some of our other casters, we failed to inform them about the Gyos, and you know, everybody gets one. It's early season. We're only 4 days into the split, so.
I mean, the thing is that we paused for the Gyos in the first 2 games, and then we just kind of jumped straight into the action, and I just forgot for a brief second, but here we go. Early taunt from On, tags Hope. Just a little bit of aggressive trading right now. A couple things I want to mention before it gets too late and people start building items. So, you mentioned that Shen, his ultimate is very expensive because it's a long cooldown and because he's not going to get XP as much as his counterparts.
Or gold, right? Yeah.
Or gold. It's going to take a while for him to hit things like level 11 and potentially never hit level 16 if the game is fast enough. Therefore, his cooldown on ultimate would not be as short as it normally would be, like from a top lane Shen. Counterpoint, if he builds the new Zeeks with ultimate ability haste,
true,
that could change it up a bit. And I didn't see what his secondary runes were, but if he ran ultimate hunter as well, maybe that he's running domination, so it has to be ultimate hunter as his secondary rune as well.
No, he went for sudden impact and deep ward.
Never mind.
It's okay. We can return On after this game. That's
yeah.
I get it. I know.
All right. Well, I'm a little sad on that, but you know what? Maybe he does build Zeeks, and I'm half right.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You know, you got 95% of the test questions good, so that's still an A. Otherwise, though, jungler's clearing down. Shun, if he gets an early first clear, that feels pretty good, and can continue to do that. That's fine. Oh my God, there is that trading potential between the 2v2 that I was talking about.
Yep. Now the taunt into not only burning the cleanse from Hope, but also the ignite is going to force Hope out of lane. Tarzan managing to full clear his entire jungle. Knight sees Tarzan on a ward, so he's able to back off just in time before Tarzan gets in range to try and attack him. And On is following up on the play just to make sure that Tarzan does not have a safe passage back in contesting that bottom grab.
Oh, this is beautiful. I mean, Shun didn't even finish the bottom side crab. He's just going top because he knows Tarzan does not have options. The wave on bottom side is crashing in his favor. On is sitting in river right now like a good Shen. And so Tarzan doesn't have very many options. I wonder if Knight is going to get back in time. Seems like that's not going to be the case, but he's going to stay. Okay, we're making a play on a Shanks.
Doesn't flash for it, but gets the root from the empowered Q. Decent damage on the Shanks. He does not pull the flash trigger there. Keeps calm, but takes a lot of damage as response.
I mean, he's kind of screwed in this lane. Like Rise doesn't have teleport, but use the ghost. Shanks, thankfully for him, the wave came in at a great time where it's actually frozen in front of his turret, so Rise... this could have been a lot worse for Shanks, and thankfully for him, BLG were just kind of shoving waves a little bit more mindlessly than they would have preferred.
No first blood yet for either team, but there's definitely been a lot of tension so far. The early aggressive moves from on into bot lane, and then trying to move and give Shen that extra leverage to make sure that Tarzan doesn't get the better of him like he has in the prior 2 games of this series. The other thing I was going to touch on was what build was Bin going to go for this game. I know that it's mostly Triforce, and because he's maxing W first, it probably still is going to be Triforce.
Yeah.
There was a AP Jax build that we saw earlier this week that I found really interesting with the Dusk and Dawn into Riftmaker and Zhonya's. I'm trying to remember who played it specifically.
I can find that for us real quick, but I know which game you're talking about, and it was very good. I think the fact that Dusk and Dawn applies on hit effects, it was Sicko for Weibo. It was the Weibo versus IG game. It was the second game that they won. Or it was the first game in the series, second game of the series in total. Anyway, Dusk and Dawn is very broken. I'm sad we're not seeing more of it. I assume that if this item gets a single buff in the next patch, we will probably see AP jungles come back. But until then, we will have to wait and see. Otherwise, though, Raafaa, I've got to say, this is a relatively more tame game in comparison to some of the options we thought were going to come through for this one. Like, we see some early trading. Obviously, Hope lost out on a wave there, but aside from that, it has been fairly even between the 2 teams 6 minutes now in.
And while it might be extremely early on into the season, Shanks face checking as Shen just pops more than 75% of his HP, getting the flash out as well. Shen was trying to look for another flash play, doesn't hit the combo in time, but that's a Taliyah with no flash and no teleport for quite some time. Kael forced to use the crash down just to escape and use the summoner heal spell. Wow, a lot being used by AL, and BLG now in prime position to look for the first dragon of the game.
Have no prio over mid, got no prio over bot, and Sivir is so dangerous. This is a problem we said from the draft. At BLG are going to have a much easier time of push and move, you know, put the wave underneath their turret and then walk into Fog of War. You don't even have to do anything. The threat is obviously a lot more important than really any real action coming. So, like you mentioned, BLG, they get the kind of push Kael out of that wave. Viper's just been sitting here pressing QW. Continues to do so, just right-click on the enemy champions. Another wave is underneath the turret, and it's so easy for them to gain priority. AL are going to have to find a way of getting around that, and a lot of that does come down to just finding picks later on.
Yeah. I know in game 1, when BLG were getting a lot of solo kills, both in bot lane and top lane, and I had said, oh my god, we're back in 2024. This is, unironically, the closest we have gotten to BLG looking like the 2024 selves, because not only bot lane is getting advantages, On is then using those advantages to roam and leverage Shen. So now Shen is getting decent advantages for himself and using it to proactively try and find ways to leverage Knight in this lane. Bin is also proxying against his counterpart. Like,
yes,
this is the closest to 2024 BLG are going to get, and it matches up with how the offseason went for this organization.
Yeah, you know that we're never coming top lane. I think Bin actually does win 1v2s versus both Pantheon and Cassante as Jax. Maybe not now with the all-out available to Flandre, but it is also really good to proxy in this season because of the way that lane quests or role quests end up working. If you, as the laner, are farming beneath your own turret or behind your own turret, you don't get experience counters towards your role, or you get less than. So you are incentivized, especially early game, 3 minutes, to go for that. For right now, it is going to be AL with control over the top side. No use of the Pantheon ult, no use of the Weaver's Wall either. BLG are going to have to move out of this top side pip. They have brought On over. He's nowhere near level 6, and Kael, I think, has a lot more buttons that are useful in this instance.
Well, On already used his main useful button, the taunt, but Bin Flash commits onto Tarzan, and gift wraps a present for Knight in first blood.
They just don't have the same amount of damage. I mean, yes, it's a Pantheon, but your Taliyah is stuck in mid. Kael does nothing in these trades, so a kill goes over to BLG, and you get all 3 grubs, which, mind you, this is a team with Ryze and Jax. Your solo lanes are going to be incredibly competent and very much willing and able to take down turrets, especially with things like Crystalline Overgrowth.
This series is starting to look very reminiscent of the BLG series against Weibo just a couple of days ago, Alk. The first game, back and forth, kind of rough and tragic loss at the end in game 1. And then a little bit more dominance. BLG definitely showing at least a lot more control and a massive gold lead that AL could never come back from. And now game 3, this is the best start that BLG have had so far.
I don't know if I agree with that comparison, because as I was saying earlier, that Weibo series felt like a Weibo 3-0 than it was a BLG 2-1. Weibo were winning a lot of those games, and they put themselves in really good spots. Even the game where BLG got Cloud Soul, I really felt like they were almost going to lose that game, and it came down to a few moments. This is, like you were mentioning, I will agree with one portion of that, which is BLG's early games so far this season, sans the first game, have looked impeccable. They've started each one of these games with at least 1,000 gold lead, and that's pretty good, especially for the new season.
Yeah, the more we talked about it, the more I think you're right. I guess in terms of momentum, how the series is carried forth, I guess what I'm trying to get is
I can be more mean if you want. I can just say you were wrong, like more flat.
No,
if you...
no, I mean, you basically said that without being blunt, but you know, I appreciate that you're willing to go that far. But I think you're right, if for what it's worth. But it's nice to make that conversation and
Sure.
make that a discussion point. But we are about a minute away from the second dragon spawning. Reminder, BLG did pick up the first one. They still have push in both mid and bot. We have yet to see Tarzan and Shanks use their global tools to try and find a response back. Now, I'm waiting to see if they want to use it to make a play on this dragon specifically, or if they want to use it on the top side when BLG commit to the dragon instead.
I think right now they're waiting for someone from BLG to overextend that isn't named Jax, because if Sivir's underneath the turret and they can maybe find an angle, I think that's a little bit more realistic. Maybe they're also going to be waiting for the lane swaps to come out when Sivir is parked in mid lane and you have Ryze on the side lane. But Ryze is getting tanky here, Raafaa, and Jax is going to continue to get tankier and tankier. This might be Dusk and Dawn. That is a Sheen. That is a blasting one. Okay, we're getting AP Jax here in this one. All right, so AL get to move themselves into the Dragon Pit. We thought this was going to go over to BLG. I thought, you know, having a fed Kiana already finish the Profane Hydra, I thought they could have moved their weight a little bit more, but they gave up position for this, and now they're going to have to fight themselves into Fog of War here. I don't know if I like this.
Kael was trying to set up a flank, but immediately gets pushed out by Viper, gets jumped. The supreme display of talent catches him, but the response of the Magnet Storm kills Shen in the crossfire. Dragon secured for Tarzan, and now it's full retreat for anyone's legend. Knight trying to continue the chase and keep them in range for follow-up kills. Boomerang Blade lands onto the Rune Prison target, but not enough damage to finish off Tarzan, and the rest of anyone's legend find their first counter response in this game 3.
I think that was a confusing engage there from BLG. They still get access to mid lane waves, but you lost the dragon there in that trade. Great smite coming in from Tarzan, and you were still able to get some response kill there onto Shen. AL are going to make them work for every single inch here in this series. They're using some of those globals now. Can Knight find anything on the Flandre?
Forced to flash away. Knight doesn't get in range for the Rune Prison. Finds the Empowered one, layered up with the taunt. It's beautiful CC work, and Bin gets his first kill of the game.
Did they put too much into that play, though? Because that's a Realm Warp, and that's also the Stand United there. AL are going to respawn with putting 3 people in top lane. No Crystalline Overgrowth. No plate's going to be taken on this attempt from BLG. Just a simple kill on the Flandre, and you get his flash. Maybe even get his teleport in the time being. What are the lane assignments? I know we're going to go right into a replay, but Kai'Sa's currently sitting in bottom lane. Someone's going to have to pick up the mid lane wave eventually. So, look at this. I love this Weaver's Wall from Shanks. I think the fact that you cut off all of this and you force the flash from Viper or Knight is good enough as a play. He saves himself. I know we haven't talked about it in a while, but Pantheon, is just one of the best smiters in the game. Like
Yep.
The fact that you get empowered Q plus smite, it is near impossible to outsmite this champion.
Yeah. With the jungle changes to smite 2, it's no longer just 900 and 1200. It's now 1000 and 1400 at those breakpoints. So you have an even larger window to guarantee these neutral objectives as Pantheon. So that's going to give Tarzan a bit of an edge when it comes to the clutch late game plays and decision making when we are fighting for either Dragon Soul Point or Dragon Soul itself, and hell, even Baron.
Look at Bit. God, can we stop with the lower thirds? I know we have skins to sell. I want to talk about the item. Mark, just tell me what is Dusk and Dawn?
Dude, Dusk and Dawn. All right, so if you have not seen this item yet, well, you're not playing enough solo queue, because this item is probably one of the best new items in the game.
Another lower third!
Oh, hang on. Shanks, you're in trouble, buddy. There's no flash on this Talia, if memory serves correctly. Weaver's Wall is available, but he would have to use it very fast. Shun
time to go.
Is waiting in the wings, and
Shanks
knows, you know what? Yep, he has to teleport because the Weaver's Wall would not save him in that instance, so he gets out alive. All right.
I feel like you could have used the Weaver's Wall. Just ride it along the bottom lane wall. You know, just send it back up to your turret, and you're out of there.
I think he was afraid of Shun and like timed the ultimate and just clipped him in there.
That's fair. So, a pretty expensive trade. You know, they end up hovering Knight. He'll get this entire wave and the first turret of the game going over to BLG. AL in turn will grab the Rift Herald and maybe look for something on top side, but with Dragon spawning in a minute, I do imagine that we're going to be trying to save that and maybe get some of those plates that are sitting and cooking in mid lane with the overgrowth.
That's right. So, Dusk and Dawn.
I don't think we're getting time for this item, man.
300
we gotta get through it.
25% attack speed, 20 ability haste. Boom.
That's not the important part. The items are whatever. I want to know the active.
The stats alone are really good, but whenever you proc Dusk and Dawn, which is a Sheen item, it does your on-hit effects twice.
Yes.
So for Jax in this instance, you are ramping up your W passive or your auto passive that much faster. Hang on. Realm Warp toward the bottom lane. Uh-oh, Flandre. Well,
another lower third?
Nope. Another lower third, maybe? I mean, Flandre's just gonna die here. I don't think he can even find a trade. Yep. BLG, using their global tools, just getting a lot of kills back and forth. It's an answer from anyone's legend, though, in the mid lane with this Rift Herald, I should say.
Wow.
They don't even take out the tier 1 turret just yet. Just a little bit of gold in their pockets.
I mean, three plates there for Hope and Tarzan is not all that bad. And you do get some answer on the other side. There's a lot of investment there from BLG. I wonder if they'll still feel empowered to go for this dragon now that they know that they don't have answers. Also, Hope will have to spend a lot of this gold that he just got for himself. So as he gets closer to a Rage Blade, that'll be a big power spike coming in for AL. BLG are going to just be out on the map first, though, however, with the fact that AL did spend so much time on that mid lane tier 1. I think this turret is gone with Demolish plus... Yeah. Holy crap. Oh my god.
I'm telling you, man.
That's 4 plates!
We already know that Jax, as a champion, destroys turrets really fast. Dusk and Dawn is just as good as a turret destruction tool as Trinity Force. However, Shanks is going to force a flash out with the Weaver's Wall, still looking for On. Quick taunt dash away, at least escapes the seismic shove, but On is still in trouble. Shanks is just putting the hurt train, the flash forward guarantees the kill. And Shanks is on the board with his first kill of the game.
I like the snap there from Shanks. Use the ultimate, try to find On, and now you know that there's no flash. On, I will note, kind of a free death there. You got Shanks to flash, and while the dragon isn't something you're going to be contesting, On can always get on the map a lot faster just by using a stand united. You see that play, they're going to look for another dive onto Flandre here. Nobody from AL in the area quite yet, and there was no Grand Starfall to answer.
They're going to be a little slow to answer and try and bail Flandre out of this one. On has Stand United ready if he needs it. Hasn't popped it yet. Flandre going to get stunned up. Flash into the E. Is able to dash away back to safety. Thankfully for anyone's legend, they did answer with a tier 1 turret on the bot side. As Shanks has teleport in case they need it. depends only on BLG if they want to get aggressive on.
Go.
Flash into the... Oh my goodness, supreme display of talent. Good night, Tarzan. And Shanks teleports in just a little too late. I think this red buff does belong to BLG.
I mean, you have mid lane waves you can always answer. It is really tough for AL to answer. They need team fights to thrive in this game, and if you're going to get picked off on individual skirmishes, you're cut off at the legs. You can never properly get into a scenario where it's a team fight that you're comfortable with. And now with a 3,000 gold deficit, it's going to feel even worse. I promise you, we've tried to talk about this item that is in Bin's inventory, and that still is not enough. It is very broken. The fact that you get 2 on-hit applications on top of having a shield proc, very disgusting. The amount of burst damage that Jax gets access to, not okay. And he still has Demolish, so turrets are going to evaporate once he hits his second item here. AL, try to look for something, but they need these individual picks. They need to find moments where they can catch members of BLG off so that they can have a little bit more time to scale. They've now hit 2 items on 2 of their carries. I don't think that's enough at this moment.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever looked at Jax's AP ratios on his scaling.
If you're a boss,
deceptively really high.
The boss plays a lot of AP Jax, so if you've been watching Los Ratones or you've been watching any Bouse, you know this is kind of his thing, and I'm sure he's ecstatic that there's another item that you can add on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, because normally Counter-Strike is one of Jax's best tools, but when you go 80 Jax, it's like a little bit of damage. The most of it comes from the max HP scaling onto enemy targets. Throw an AP on a high AP ratio.
Oh,
yeah, that
Viper.
thing is chunking people. But Viper caught out by 3 people. Big shutdown going over to Hope's pockets. Flandre in a 1v2. All out. He's got Tarzan for reinforcements, but he goes down.
Shanks.
Realm Warp. Does he have enough time to get out alive? Yes, he does. Shanks arise just to see Shun and Knight Realm Warp away, but Kael is hot on their trail, looking for the flashback to Storm to lock Knight down. He tries to flash to the turret for safety, but Hope gets another shutdown and a Shun's Kiana. And anyone's legend are trying to do everything they can to get back in this game.
That has to be a Baron. You have an Kaisa here with 2 items. They're not going to be able to threaten this right now. I guess they just don't have the HP. And also, Bin's on the opposite side. Destroy. He has a Sonya's. Oh my god. And Kael, he's going to get canceled. Well. That's fine. This turret's gone.
He can take the full turret.
He's not going to do it. He doesn't have enough time. Oh my god, this is so stressful. BLG now, 3,000 gold lead. They lost some members, but I think they kept the important shutdowns here. Knight still with a 400 shutdown on his head. A great catch off of this single vision. That ward in front of the Raptor pit, MVP for this play alone.
Get to see how the sequence continues as BLG are the aggressors onto Flandre. While he does go down, it's enough time for anyone's legend to find a counter response and chase Kiana all the way through, but the fact that Bin was pushing on the bottom side and On was playing Stop the Ports, AL could not commit to a Baron for a greater punish, so now they just have to wait for the 4th dragon of the game to spawn in 50 seconds.
It's such a micro thing, but I love it, by the way. That ward that I was just highlighting, you could see that On put down a control ward to try to sweep another ward that was similarly in the area, but because this is a Mountain Soul Rift, the terrain that's in front of that makes it so difficult to clear out all this vision. Now AL have to walk him blind into the river. Dragon spawns in 30, and would be Soul Point for them, which we haven't talked about too much, but I do think gives them a way out of a pretty hard game to play, especially with the top side of BLG. So this is an objective that I really do think that if BLG are not going to look to contest, I really feel like they need to get a lot more on the play on the side lane. Like, I don't think you're getting time with that inhibitor turret for another 5 minutes at the very least. And top lane is going to take a little bit, so are they just going to leave Bin to just stay on an island?
I mean, he's strong enough. He is 2,000 gold ahead of the Cassante right now, and I would have to double check to see what Flandre's items are, but I don't know if he can withstand Jax's might right now. Anyone's legend trying to position.
Not that much, though.
Yeah. I mean, he rushed an Iceborne Gauntlet. That's armor. That's not MR, so it's tough for Flandre to survive that long against Bin's Wrath. Anyone's legend, though, just doing their due diligence and claiming mid-wave control, pushing into the river. They bully them off of it for now. Bin, I mean, you could see that Tarzan was thinking about just going for a quick collapse.
He's allowed to be there by himself. Wow. can see it's a tug and pull. BLG and AL fighting over mid waves and then dunking into river. Right now, it is all anyone's legend in terms of vision. They have the scuttle, they have the pixel brush, and they have the river rush entering into mid. On's getting engaged.
Display of talent used to push Hope back, but everyone just jumps to the left side. Shanks flashes away, but cannot get out. Here comes Ben with the counter-strike, looks for Tarzan next. Aegis the Soul buys some time, but just look at the
They're doing it.
BLG completely corralling, and Hope in the middle of three cannot pull out a miracle. BLG reigns supreme in the river, and they're gonna push for a Baron.
There we go. Let's roam warp out. 3 members take care of the big purple worm. An amazing fight from the carries. And I had a lot of reservations about Shen on this Qiyana, but him and Knight, I should say, have been moving excellently in that fight. They immediately snap onto Shanks, force him out of this, make him flash, and still end up grabbing that kill. A Baron on top of that is going to make this game so much easier, and BLG now find themselves with an almost 6,000 gold lead here. 25 minutes into this game. Kael thought this was a good enough engage, and by the way, the auto attacks that are prevented by On, thanks to this W, impressive. There is that fight. Viper and Knight, I mischaracterized there for Shen, but he ends up grabbing the kill at the very end. Ben with this flank, I mean, who is supposed to kill this Jax? There's not enough damage for a 2-item Kaisa to do enough here.
The hope for anyone's legend is to spring that play as fast as possible before Ben even arrives, but it takes way too long to get the kill onto On. Shen buys time with the supreme display of talent on the only truly fed damage carry for anyone's legend in Hope's Kaisa. And as you called out, Shanks completely irrelevant in that fight. Credit to Viper and Knight. And now Baron buff on their side. They pick up the 4th dragon, even up the dragons so that anyone's legend is nowhere near soul point. BLG have a majority of the tools necessary to now start closing this game out and the series in a win.
AL struggling to find something. They can't push this top side. I mean, this Kasante matchup is basically unplayable at this point in the game. And now they're going to make another side lane play. Got the first strike. That's all that matters. If I'm Flandre, I'm like, good. He's not getting another 15 gold off of me. The Realm Warp is gone. Not a very long cooldown, but at least slowing it down. We have not seen this. We've seen some plays from Shanks and Tarzan, but just not in this game. Oh!
Display of talent on the 2 members, Tarzan and Kael both caught, and Tarzan is the first one to drop. Flandre TP's in, forced to immediately run away, and BLG now have a 5-on-4 for another 40 seconds. How much damage can they do?
There's nothing for AL to do at this point. BLG get free time on these waves, go for another top tier 2. I just want to see Ben auto attack this. Crystalline Overgrowth, boom, 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 turret is gone. A free one coming in for Ben Jax, an iconic champion pair for him, by the way, who we haven't even mentioned here in this game. It's starting to crumble around AL, Rafa. We thought game 1 was enough of a message sent. BLG returned to sender on this series.
It is starting to look like 2024 all over again, Alk, and BLG. A lot of the members that have had questionable 2025 years overall. You look at On, you look at Ben, who back in 2024 were considered the best in their role. 2025, we're struggling to meet those same highs, but already in their second series of the 2026 against probably the most important team to prove it to is delivering.
I think of the LPL documentary from this most recent Worlds, and there was a clip. It was after one of BLG's Swiss games, where I think it was the loss to 100 Thieves, but I'm not 100% certain. Basically, it was a clip of Beitron talking to the team and saying, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in the mid game. Like, I felt lost. I'm playing Vi, I'm playing Xin Zhao, and I don't know how to drive the game forward. And when I saw that moment, I just think back to these times of BLG having Shen. He's not the perfect jungler. He's far from it in my mind for a lot of different reasons. But something that I know Shen is going to do in a game is he is going to call game. He is going to try to make a spot, try to find a moment, try to find a weakness. And while I think the accuracy may not always be there, I know Shen has a direction he wants to take the game, and that's what BLG are going to need as the year goes forward.
And it has proven so far, at least in the second game win, that we saw an exemplary use of the paranoia, that simultaneous play both in mid and bot lane that pretty much sealed the deal for that game. And we think back to that fight in the bottom river. It has put BLG now effectively 8,000 to 9,000 gold ahead. This should be enough of an advantage for them to close it out. Anyone's Legend are no sleepers though, and are never ever willing to give up a game no matter how far down they are. So it's going to be an even better victory when BLG finally have the opportunity to close it out.
You know, Mark, you know what's scarier than a level 18 Jax?
What's that? Oh, a level 20
level
Jax?
19 Jax. A level 19 and a level 20 Jax.
Yep, that's right. Well, Flandre forced to run away from the realm war. Bin winding up the helicopter, looking for the counter-strike.
Oh, Kael!
Kael in the Q stun, open to the back line. Finds shoot first. Don't tell me he gets dropped, but he trades one for Viper next. But it's up to Bin to carry this one through with On. Shanks trying to keep him away. On forced the taunt back. The seismic shove. BLG! They just crumbled when it mattered most. Anyone's Legend bringing it back from the brink. How does this happen?
Holy crap, Kael! That's a tier 1 support if I've ever seen one. They're gonna grab a tier 1 turret on the way out. That was an incredible magnet storm, completely acing BLG. There's a lot left work to be done here in this game, but that's an amazing first step 15 seconds before the dragon spawns. Oh my god, okay. I know we were setting up for this dumb level 20 Jax joke, but all 4 members of BLG on this side, On's trying to find something, Flandre just doing exactly his job. Waste BLG's time and attention. You set up for a shock when you set up for the unraveled earth, Viper flashes to get out of it, and all you're doing is buying time. It doesn't matter that Hope ends up dying there. Shanks put in a hell of a lot of damage on the back end of that one. And that is the game-winning play, or game-saving play there for anyone's Legend.
It definitely would be the game-winning play if anyone's Legend find a way to continue this momentum. They shore up nearly 4,000 gold of a deficit, and now it's only a 5,000 gold advantage for BLG. Thankfully for them, it's nowhere close to a Dragon Soul game. They still have control of the bottom side map. But if something else happens, that is going to be the first moment that everyone looks back on. But BLG still have time. They're still in the lead. They can just look back at that and say, okay, guys, you know what? We messed up. We can still close this game out.
I'll give him player
We're
of the
still
game
favored.
for that play alone, bro. I'll give him player of the game for that one, even if
he's definitely getting ace. He's definitely getting ace, for sure.
All right, AL trying to start up the Baron. They're going to immediately turn on whoever is teleporting. Bin, flash, leap strike, he's out. No ult. Shun's coming in on a flank.
Shun looking for the Supreme display down, hits all 5. Viper and Knight can now rip, and now it's BLG's time to shine. Anyone's Legend had a brief glimpse of hope, but it's immediately put to rest. Viper takes the triple kill, the pop-off from On in the player cam, quadra kill for Viper, and the first chapter of this epic rivalry will be written in BLG colors.
Man, I love the fact that it even happens in the exact same spot. They may have gotten rid of Otacon, but it's still the same story. BLG make a comeback here at the end of that play and completely dominate AL 2 games back-to-back. God damn! That's a great way to start off the season, and that's a great way to start off a rivalry between the 2 top teams here in Group Ascend.
This is peak LPL, man. I love League of Legends so much. When it is this chaotic, when it is this epic, where BLG, before the final push to win the series, they are given one last test by anyone's Legend that would have tripped up a majority of other teams to be thrown that mental wrench and lose that much of an advantage. But they hold their fortitude strong. They look for a response. The TP from Bin, I was very scared, legitimately scared for BLG because I could see the future in a timeline where Bin TP's in and doesn't have a way out. Yeah, and then it's a 5-on-4, and then anyone's legend makes a comeback that shouldn't have happened. But thankfully for BLG, they close the series out, and they have the honor of claiming first series win in 2026.
And they now claim essentially sole possession of first place for the night, because the series after this is not going to have any, well, I guess JDG could 2-0, and then suddenly, we're in a bit of a predicament there. But I just think for BLG, this is an impressive series. And like you mentioned, not only is this the first of a double round robin we'll see, this is a series that we are expecting to happen in playoffs, if not once, then twice. And we're expecting this to be one of the finals for this year, whether it's in split 1, 2, or 3. So already in 3 games, we're getting the excitement, we're getting the plays, and that is on 4th day of the LPL split.
Oh, my player cam froze.